Hello, and we are live with SEO Meetup Melbourne. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is the 2nd of March here in Melbourne, Australia, and I'm joined here with Jarrod Miller-Dean. Hi, Jarrod.
Hi, how are you, Nick? How you doing?
Yeah, really, really good. Really, really good. It is fantastic to have you on. We are absolutely stoked to be having an international guest this month. So, Jarrod, where are you calling in from?
Thank you. Glad to be here. I'm actually calling in from San Diego, California. So other side of the pond, so to speak, but definitely glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm really stoked that you've come on board, especially because I think you were saying before that it is 9:45 where you are.
Yeah, actually 11:05 p.m. right now. So, and what time is it where you guys are like 6:45, 6 o'clock right now?
Yes, 6:05. 6:05.
Yeah,
we are live. Yeah. And Jarrod, you were saying that you are you're now a technical SEO, but previously you were doing a lot with content. Is that correct?
Yes. So up until about, I was doing content for actually a couple of years, up until about last summer. And so from July forward, went strictly focusing on technical, but still have a strong passion for content.
Awesome. As someone who has a strong passion for technical SEO, I think everyone needs to have a good strong foundation in both. But doing content predominantly in your last role and some backlink outreach, and now focusing on technical SEO, you just sound like a weapon, mate.
slowly trying to build that strong foundation, and definitely just get a taste and a touch of everything to get better. Ultimately, just be the best SEO I can be. But technical is, I like it because it's like a puzzle. That's what really got my attention. You're always trying to figure out a solution to whatever the issue may be. So it's using the other side of the brain. I like it.
Yeah, I love that. And just out of curiosity, for everyone here, we've got Chris. We got both Chris's, Chris and Chris Burgess here, and Paula. Hey guys. Thanks so much for joining tonight. What aspect of technical SEO would you say would be your favorite?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I mean, like right now, just really learning a lot about the core web vitals and just ultimately trying to figure out how can we best get these pages running. What are the little nuances of this? Look, I think a website is like looking under the hood of a car. So what are the little nuances that we can tweak to make it that much better? We still don't know what's going to happen, but how can we best prepare for this situation and go from there?
That sounds awesome. Yeah. I think we have a shared passion there. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Just totally soaking up everything I read. I'm always trying to see what's new, anything new coming out.
Yeah. And that's really what SEO is about. Like, it's, keeping curious, it's reading about, new things that are happening, and just trying to, think laterally about how to do the best that we can for our clients.
Absolutely.
I think that's a really good segue for our next segment. And before I begin, I might just do a little bit of quick housekeeping. So for anyone that is just jumping on now, this is SEO Meetup. If you want to help continue, to grow our presence here, hitting subscribe, hitting like, from what I understand from the algorithm, really helps, just to further our reach. So if you're feel so inclined, definitely encourage you to do that. We will be going through now SEO news. So usually I am joined with my wonderful co-host Saijo George, who I'm sure a lot of people already know from TLDR marketing. But unfortunately, he has another prior commitment, so it's just me this SEO meetup. But I will just kind of go through the news and give you guys some updates as to what's happening out there. So something that Saijo actually was talking about on Twitter today, and I think it's kind of like really interesting that we've been able to see this happening at the moment. I'll just like really quickly share what I'm looking at. So, oh, there we go, add to stream. So if anyone can see that, we've got ordering food options via Google location panel. It looks like that it's actually rolling out here in Australia. Now, Jarrod, I don't know if you've got any clients that this sort of pertains to, but I think this started off being rolled out in America. And for us here, like, we see things that get rolled out in America and like, that's interesting. I wonder how that works. I wonder how, that helps or hinders some of the clients that are over in the US. And we kind of like, think about it for a little bit and then put it in our back burner. And then now this is a perfect example of where it rolls out in America and now is live here in Australia. So this is starting to happen for Boost Juice, and this is something that Saijo has kind of tweeted out. But it's interesting because I think this was announced in 2019, but I don't think it was widely rolled out as this is really the first time that I really started to see this. So again, it's going to be really interesting for those that have Google Pay or Apple Pay or any other mediums to be able to do that really a lot quicker and basically from the SERP, and could kind of like just chip away a little bit at like Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, Menulog, and the like. There are quite a few to choose from, but that I thought was really interesting. Have you got any clients that in in your portfolio that sort of have those kinds of opportunities available to them?
Wow. For the panels, not at the moment. Presently, I don't have it at the moment, but in the past, yes, absolutely. So it's always, like you said, it's very interesting to see how does it affect people, especially now that we are in, unfortunately, a global pandemic. So things like those panels coming up, and also it all being on mobile, seeing how it affects and seeing how frequently people are using them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Something else that has been pulled out of TLDR marketing, if you guys haven't seen it yet, but we've been seeing an increase of hackers exploiting websites to give them better SEO rankings before deploying malware. I think the idea here is to really increase their reach, but essentially, like cyber attackers have been turning to SEO techniques to be able to better deploy malware payloads to as many sites as possible. So there's a really interesting article that is available in TLDR marketing that is going forward and exploring this a little bit more. But this is really just from an article from ZDNet. So if you have been hacked, that is probably a really good link for you guys, just to kind of like, make sure that doesn't necessarily pertain to you. I'll just also put this in the live chat as well. So then that's that link that I'm just referring to there. So I really hope that doesn't, that hasn't necessarily like affected anyone here, but yeah, malware and hacking. I think I was reading somewhere that because of COVID and things like that, a lot more people have been attacked. So again, so if this does apply to you, personally, I'm sorry, because it's really sometimes difficult to get rid of. But that is not great. As far as like other things happening, so I think featured snippets, there's been a little bit more in that space about featured snippets, and particularly going after their query length. So on February 19th, Mozcast, if anyone uses Mozcast is basically something that identifies changes and disruptions to the SERP. But that measured a dramatic drop of like 40% day over day in the SERPs that had featured snippets with basically they just stopped appearing. And I think featured snippets, like as far as like their query length, the most impact was like, you know, the 1 word query length, 2 words, 3 words. I think as it sort of like goes down in the amount of words, you know, we're seeing the least amount of change, but you know, for some queries, like if you were just to say Pitbull, for example, I think the actual artist, the musical artist Pitbull, you know, is there. Quite possibly his featured snippet might not be there anymore. I don't know. I'm just kind of like speculating a little bit, because this is sort of something that I think has been seen across all of Mozcast, which I think from my understanding looks maybe at you know, US and global data. So that's something just definitely just to be aware of. If you've seen in your checkers every month, if you've seen like oh, we've lost some featured snippets that we used to have, that could be potentially what's happening. So you know, this is pretty much like the lowest prevalence rate of featured snippets from Moz's data set since they started collecting that back in 2015. So again, if you were a site that uses featured snippets to really go after more opportunities, yeah, there has been a bit of a drop. Just going to also put that link in there as well. And guys, you know, this is basically I'm reading it straight from TLDR marketing. So I would definitely highly encourage you guys to subscribe if you want to. This isn't sponsored or anything. It's just a really good newsletter that really gets us to know with new updates and things like that. It's kind of funny that you have mentioned Chrome Core Web Vitals, because there is an update here that that features like with Chrome 90 DevTools, they're wanting to basically bring out Core Web Vitals overlay feature.
I heard about that. Have you tried it yet at all, or do you know much more about it at all? Because I personally haven't used it, but I know that a lot of different tools are especially adding Core Web Vitals features to be able to really dig into it once it all occurs.
Yeah, I think at the moment I haven't necessarily like updated. I think I'm still on Chrome 86, but I think like there is like the new CSS FlexSpot in there that like really helps to go through and actually debug things in there. So yeah, like the way that we keep on top of our Core Web Vitals is Search Console. Because if there's anything in there that's really flagging as like, hey, like you've got across like mobile and desktop, you know, basically, you know, it's completely terrible. That's where we really go in and, you know, start to try and work backwards with that. And we work with developers to try and like, you know, find the easy opportunities to be able to do that. What's your experience been with that? Are you testing that at the moment?
Actually, I was just going to agree with you. Right now, we're using Search Console as well, and my primary client, we're working with them to get their website prepped. So we are working with our developers to try to get everything up to speed, looking at page shifts or largest contentful paint and so forth, and trying to just get the website ready. But with larger websites, especially templated websites as well, it becomes a little bit. Correct me if I'm wrong, a little bit trickier just because so many things are connected. So it's really trying to find that one thing that you can do to one page and just send it across to a lot of other ones as well. But we have been talking about using that with Chrome. So right now I'm actually in the process of doing battle with IT to get my my Chrome updated so I can start playing with it. So everything goes through IT. So yeah.
Nice. Well, I guess that was, once that Jarrod ticket comes through, then you'll be able to play through with it.
Exactly.
Yeah. For anyone that is sort of like listening and they're like, oh, core web vitals, like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Basically, core web vitals are page experience signals that Google has announced that as of May this year, that will become essentially I guess like a ranking signal. I don't want to say factor. I think there's a little bit of controversy around that, but it will be a ranking signal that really goes after like, some really key metrics. So it looks at like mobile friendliness, it looks at safe browsing, HTTPS security, and intrusive interstitial guidelines as well. So it's really broken down into like three main categories. Your LCP, largest contentful paint. Gosh, Google loves an algorithm, am I right? Your FID, which is your first input delay, and your CLS, your cumulative layout shift. Just to go back to it, your largest contentful paint is really the kinds of like page load metrics that are available as like, that performance, which describes like the speed or as the speed of delivering like the largest contentful element on the screen. So if you were to say go to like GT metrics or Pingdom or what have you, or page speed insights, and you can sort of go GT metrics, go to like that waterfall and have a look at every script, every element that gets loaded onto the page. Then that sort of like looks at good opportunities to be able to optimize that. The first input delay, that measures the time from when a user first interacts with your site. So, when they start to click around and like, use like the menu to be able to find something, or use even like, some custom, click on something that uses like JavaScript to be able to pull, uses an API to be able to pull in some content. That looks at the time when the browser is actually able to respond to that interaction. So that's what first input delay means. And the cumulative layout shift, which is an interesting one. It's like a user-centric metric that really measures like the visual stability, because it helps quantify how often users experience unexpected layout shifts. So maybe if they're clicking on something and the page is still really quite slow to load, and it basically just jumps and it moves around. So users tend to get frustrated with that user experience. So having like a low CLS, so it like really helps to make sure that the page is optimized for users, and that's sort of Google's way of trying to keep some kind of idea as to really what the user's experience of your websites are. What are some good ways that you've been like experimenting with that have the most impact from a core web vitals perspective?
That's a great
Jarrod.
question. It's a really great question. So for right now, for example, looking at what is the largest contentful paint, we realized that when we originally thought it was a logo, for example, on a page, we ran some tests trying to see, well, what happens if we take the image out of it or just have the script instead? Well, we soon realized that then it's just automatically going to jump to the next one, which was the first blog article. So it's really trying to figure out how we can get the loading times down, whether that's removing CSS or unused JavaScript to try to get those load times down to prevent those things from happening.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I was literally going through this morning with one of my colleagues, looking at opportunities, and again, like we were going through our waterfall and being like, okay, well, these are the heaviest loading elements that affect this page. You can also use, by the way, Screaming Frog and things like that to be able to have a look at using an API with your page speed insights to get a good idea of all of the scripts across your entire website. To be able to see like some really, really great common denominators. Oh, Screaming Frog is awesome. But for just like, some of we've been able to find like some of the, key landing pages, like your home pages, your category pages, some of your top selling product pages even. we found that the fav icon was a good common denominator across the whole site. And some things that we couldn't influence that was pulling in using like an API to be able to like load content on pages and images, just like, you know, some basic images. So we went through and we optimized the file size and compressed a lot of images, and that had some really, really good impact. So funny enough, like sometimes it's like from a script form and you can like work with your dev, but to be honest, like look at your images, because your images are really super easy, you know, to be able to go through and optimize those.
Absolutely low-hanging fruit, you know, whether it's, like you said, compressing the images or you know, caching them, you know, or even in some regards, lazy loading, just the different options that you have to really try to take that pressure off your server.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, the rest of the other ones I'm just kind of like scrolling through. Patent on how Google may use local experts to rank local search results. Now that is a juicy, juicy, juicy bit of tidbit information. So again, in TLDR marketing, there is a Twitter thread that has been shared about like a patent on how Google may use local experts. So I'm just, yeah, of course it's attributed to the wonderful Bill Slawski, who has gone through and written this. But it looks like the newly granted Google patent is providing some insights as to how that they are able to see expertise related to content. And by that, local search results. So your near me searches, keywords with say, you know, towns, cities, suburbs kind of locality as a result of what, you know, what that looks like. So I will also link that here. I'm just opening up the tweet because that's really, really awesome. And I think, like, you know, largely speaking, this would follow on with Google EAT, expertise, authority, and trust. Now, this is not a new announcement, and wonderful other digital marketers like Dr. Marie Haynes and Lily Ray have done a lot of testing and done a lot of great thought leadership here on Google EAT. But largely speaking, there are some really, really great opportunities for you if this really does affect your site. So the sites that we typically see have the most impact, affects like YMYR sites, your money, your life. So say like health sites, medical sites, legal, financial, things that could really help you, really harm you, your health, or really harm your financial well-being. So, or even like, legally. So, those kinds of sites are being picked out as things that they've been trying to scrutinize a lot more. Now, as a way of, doing this, there's heaps of wonderful practical things that you yourselves can be able to do, or liaise with SEOs like myself and Jarrod to be able to help you with. The first, I might just quickly speak on this, but before I do that, Jarrod, do you have experience with Google EAT as well?
Yes. I mean, as far as, I come from a content background, so really that's one of the main ones we're always looking at, trying to have the most recent up-to-date information, especially like, as you mentioned, when it comes to health, when it comes to financial information, you definitely want to focus on having content or using sources as close to the root of the source, and also within the past 2 to 3 years. Like those are big ones on the list as far as developing content.
Yeah, absolutely. So a really great place to start is, have a look at your site right now. Have a look at who authors your content. If you're, say, giving advices to, what stocks to buy, you're really, really wanting to make sure that whoever actually writes that article, where you're getting your advice, that they know what they're talking about. So if you're a site owner and you're looking at your website, say you're, the gold expert. So one of the first places to be able to check that is type in the author's name plus a profession and see what actual results accumulate in the search result. This is how Google actually understands whether or not the expert is actually linked to their profession. Second thing is have a look at your team page. Do you have a dedicated team page about the expert that is writing all of this content? If you don't, then I would definitely encourage you to make one. Second thing, on that page, have like a nice little quick CV of the author and be able to have like some really good links that externally link to, say, like any of their qualifications that you can be able to verify from other authoritative sites online. And then use schema markup to be able to have like, be able to validate all the things that you're saying on that. Schema markup is a really great way of showing, how content is relative to one another. And then for all of the pages that are available in your blog, for instance, if they're the author of those, then that's where I would have like a nice little link that goes back to that team page, and on that have article schema. Now, article schema is really, really good because it shows like who wrote the article, and it will link back to that team page, and it'll show who they are as experts, and it'll give you a lot more information about what the article is about, what it's supposed to be intended for as far as the content on there, time to read, all other really, really great signals that your customers want to be able to read about. And it does then start to like make the connection with the content, all the hard work that you're putting toward the content, and the expert that is basically the expert, the authority, and the trust that is all being pulled from that. So these are the page experience signals that we're wanting to really help make sure that are on websites. I'm sorry, I've gone on a little bit about that, but I'm very, when it comes to Google EAT, I think more people really need to realize that if this applies to you, you really need to put in a lot more work as to doing this, because I think that this is really something that Google is really trying to keep happening across the web. Sorry, I've gone on a little bit long about that, but I would really like to now show everyone your presentation. So I'm going to now just share that for everyone listening at home. I'm going to be Jarrod's helping buddy here because I'm showing it from my end.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
No worries. Okay. Share that.
Okay.
And we'll go play.
Okay. Shall I just say change when it's a new slide, or how would you prefer it?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. Is that full screen?
Is it full screen? I believe so, yes.
Awesome.
Wait, no, not now. But...
Not now, okay. All right, it's just gonna hijack my whole computer. Perfect.
Yeah.
All righty, take it away, Jarrod.
All right, well, thank you for having me. Tonight I'm here to discuss 6 content refresh tips for 2021. My name is Jarrod Miller-Dean. Next slide, please. Okay, so why is refreshing content important? Next slide, please. All right, so refreshing content is an important practice because it allows website publishers to use already established content and recycle it without creating a new blog post from scratch. Some of the benefits of refreshing old content include presenting high quality and up-to-date information, meeting Google's EAT requirements, which we were just talking about, increasing visibility on search engine results pages, and creating a better user experience. Over time, content grows stale and outdated. The foundation is relevant to the topic, but the information, sources, and layout may no longer match the searcher intent. Old information sources and broken links can devalue content post credibility and potentially increase the bounce rate. Next slide, please. So why are content refreshes important? Updating old content, publishers can provide the best up-to-date answers for information about a topic. This plays a large part in the user experience, which Google examines as a major ranking factor. Section 3.2 of Google's Search Evaluator Guidelines outlines the standards that Google deems as quality content. The EAT algorithm is important because quality content establishes credibility and trustworthiness with visitors. As we discussed, EAT stands for expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Google focuses on fresh content because it tends to be more accurate and useful to searchers containing new and relevant information. For example, when performing a content refresh, we can examine PAA boxes, or people also ask boxes, to better understand the intent and how searchers are searching for a type of question and what they're asking around the topic. In turn, we can use these questions to optimize header tags such as H1s, H2s, and so forth to better answer questions. Next slide, please. All right. So a content study, a study conducted by SEMrush found that 70% of articles in featured snippets were no older than 2 to 3 years old. This means that for visibility's sake, it's important to keep content as fresh as possible. Content refreshes can help web pages get crawled faster, increase linking position, generate new backlinks, and pass link equity to web pages. This isn't to say refreshing content can be done for every web page, because that's not true. But sometimes it no longer matches the intent, or the SERP is too competitive. Notwithstanding, a content refresh is a low-hanging fruit opportunity to update website pages and increase ranking position without reinventing the wheel. Next, let's take a look at the content to consider in your strategy. So what content should get refreshed? All right, new content is more likely to attract new visitors than old content. When deciding which content to refresh, perform a content audit. It's like looking under the hood of a website to find ways to improve performance. When posts have been identified, perform keyword research with the following questions in mind. 1, is the keyword still relevant? This is looking at search volume to identify the frequency of searches. 2, what is the keyword intent? The types of questions that searchers are asking about a topic. 3, the type of content is the content type. What type of content is ranking? So in this area, we're looking at the type of content. So short form posts, long form posts, guides, and so forth. And 4, could this content compete in a SERP? Again, this is the type of competitors and difficulty for ranking in a SERP. Lastly, use Google as a guide. PAA boxes, auto-generated search, suggested search are a window into different types of content that searchers are looking for. While different tactics can be used in content refresh strategies, let's look at some content that can make you a contender in the SERP. Some tips that can make you a contender in the SERP. Next. All right, so 6 content refresh tips. All right, so first, mirror the landscape. When performing a SERP analysis, take note of the types of content that are dominating the SERP for a keyword. As mentioned, short form, long form, e-commerce, how-to, and listicle. These are all the different types that you may see in a SERP ranking for a keyword. While one type may be more dominant than another, others can generate mixed results, including a combination of styles. Next.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, if it's all right, just to jump in. So how do people know what types of content that they're looking at? Like when you're saying like mirroring the landscape, like what does that look like? How do you find that?
Okay, so within that, when we're looking at mirroring the landscape, so let's look at the more dominant type of content. So for example, if you're looking up pull-up bar, and you get maybe like an e-commerce page, a how-to, listicle results like best pull-up bars for an apartment, best pull-up bars during the pandemic. When you're going to refresh your content, you want to mirror the more dominant one. I mean, if you're not an e-commerce site, you're not e-commerce, so you can't do that. But if you have best exercises you can do with the pull-up bar, 6 best exercises, that's a great one. Or how to get ripped using a pull-up bar. There's 1,000 of those, so that's going to be your how-to and/or guides. So really look at websites that are close to yours, and then try to mirror what they're doing. At the same time, you can also look at their header tags, their H2s, to kind of see what kinds of questions they're answering for searchers, what kinds of information they're giving, and seeing how that kind of relates to what you're doing.
So I guess if you were to, and you guys can test this at home, if you were to, just punch into the, to the search bar, pull-up bars, you might see a range of different, like transactional, results. You might see like, singular products that might be, product pages or category pages with a whole range of different types of pull-up bars there, or you might be able to see, like you were saying before, like how to get better traps. No, I don't know.
Yeah, no, how to do a pull-up is a big one. I mean, really, everyone wants to do a pull-up. So how to do a pull-up.
Yeah, how to use a pull-up bar so that you can get a better result, or like top 10 ways of maximizing, how to use your pull-up bar exercise. So obviously I spend very little time in the gym, but yeah, it's like mirroring the landscape is then like being like, okay, like I can see like the search intent is reflecting category pages, from e-commerce sites. I can see that there's like, wrap-up guides. I can see that there's like how-to articles, or there might be like, a feature snippet that's got like a list of, 1 to 10 or something like that of things that you can do. Clicking through to that and being able to have a look at how those articles are structured is a really great way of mirroring the landscape, as to like, okay, if I've got a blank page in front of me and I'm wanting to write, like, say, like a really great how-to, I can see like, okay, they've got really great images that go through each thing step by step. There's like really clear bullet points here. It's really clear. It's really, really concise. I basically can take that and either meet that benchmark, or I can maybe like make a video about it or something like that. Am I sort of like on the right track here?
Oh, absolutely. And you definitely want to take it one step further. Definitely want to take it one step further by making better content than them too. It's like, I see what they're doing, but how can I do that, but only better? So for a project once, we were doing that. It was how to move a mattress. And so it was how to was the dominant, but then also we noticed that the images weren't just like an image of a mattress, but it was actually of, I guess, characters moving a mattress, like the pickup motion, that how to put it on the dolly, how to carry. So that was the dominant style. So based off that, we were able to reposition that piece and update it and really get it, improve the search rankings for that one, just because we were doing that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sorry, I think. Oh, this is literally like what you were saying before.
Yeah, we can go to the next one though. But that's just an example of actually what a mixed SERP will look like. So you have the best of pull-up bar. That was at best over the door pull-up bar. You've got some videos in this SERP also. So this is definitely giving a mixed SERP result versus just all e-commerce. And I could only show so much of the page actually, but going further down, you had some e-commerce and you had a few other listicles in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. So number 2, include recent sources of information. So as we were saying, use recent incredible sources for all information, especially law, statistics, research, and studies. For the freshest and most credible information, use within the past 1 to 2 years. That's a big one. Great example is, this is a Healthline article. So very big on health, very big on information for people go to find out, try to fix their ailments. But this post was actually created in November of 2020, so for last year, and it's about keto diet and fighting metabolic disease. Within the post, they reference a study talking about the keto diet. However, this study was conducted in 2013. So that's 7 years difference. So especially when referencing medical information or studies, you want to have within the past 1 or 2 years, because that's going to give the most recent information. I'm fairly certain that since 2013, there's been a lot of studies done in keto diet and how it affects metabolic disease.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of misinformation out there as well. So making sure that if you are making a statement that you have a citation here, and you've got some really, really good examples here. You know, in 2016, obesity affected 13% of adults globally. That is a statement. If you're going to say that, have a link just to basically say, like, I got that information from a really credible source, like that is, you know, well referenced itself, is by its own, like, you know, credible authors, as a way to really bring in that context. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's surprising really how frequently you see it in websites. And it's funny, it wasn't until I became an SEO that I really started noticing those kinds of things, especially doing content, looking for sources, and really starting to notice on websites that this is a very prominent issue.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like the Google core algorithm update of December 2020, I have a lead that came through that seeked us out because they were hit by the core algorithm updates, and they were a massive publisher. They basically lost half of their traffic, and it was just incredible. Like looking at Search Console, it literally looked like this, and it's still. Yeah, it really is that serious, guys. So so we went through and did a massive audit of that site, and went through and had a look at the URLs from Google Analytics that had the most traffic loss, and had a lot of the most keyword loss as well, keyword rankings loss rather. And the common denominator was they had little to no work done to basically like associate their authors with expertise. And as far as like their articles, it was really, really heavily opinion based. But again, it was talking about, you know, what stocks to buy, you know, how to invest your money, how to, you know, how to basically like financially like navigate through a lot of really difficult scenarios. And working back from that, these are the kinds of things that that we have pulled into example as well. So again, going through, if you're giving statements or if you have an opinion, that's all fine, but you really need to make sure that who is writing it is credible, is authoritative to write that, and then to have like all these great trust signals like citations and their own links on their team page to be able to show like, you know, who they are, and like good internal links that point back from the article back to like their team page to really, you know, validate who they are. Or even have a, like, you know, your example here where written by Muti Malware, and then all of his letter credentials, and it was actually medically reviewed by Adrian Sates. Again, this is a really, really fantastic way of also highlighting that if you're not also a expert, then definitely get reviewed by an expert. Because again, like, how do we do things at scale? Like the best managers are like really effective delegators. So while it doesn't necessarily always have to be written by that, it needs to be reviewed by an expert. So again, there is really, really great examples that are put here to be able to show what that looks like. And from a way to be able to, like, you know, do all of these signals from that, if you're wanting to, like, you really see, you know, to further show the relationships between that, then Schema is a really great option to be really, really great resource to be able to add and show the relevance to that as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, number 3, update old content with new links. When refreshing content, check and update for older links. Over time, links start to lose their value, pages get deleted, or links get broken. As previously mentioned, content should contain the most recent sources. So here are 2 link strategies to consider. Increasing internal linking. Newer posts could be linked to other relevant posts on websites to help increase visibility and link equity. But also make sure with those posts that you're linking to with the new posts, you link back those older posts link back as well. So you want to send the links back and forth, or have other links to your other posts linked to that page. Secondly, add new external links. As we were just discussing, adding new sources to older posts can help increase authority because of the relevance, because it's from a recent study, because it's from a recent case study, more so than 2013. So while you're adding new links to your content, be sure to remove unnecessary links as well. It's going to help pass more link equity throughout the page. Okay.
Awesome. Out of curiosity, you know, this is such a really and like, you know, valid and important point. What would you say would be really good examples of the kinds of like older content to update those links from your experience?
From the type of older content to update?
Yeah.
Overall? Okay. Well, when looking, I mean, definitely things that were once ranking really well before but maybe fell off, or posts that are maybe kind of middle tier to lower tier. But then we're looking at the links, you know, to update those. I mean, especially with when you're making, as we were saying, when you're making a statement, especially a medical statement, we're talking about, for example, the keto diet. If that post was made in 2013, you know, you want to make sure that it's newer year. You want to make sure you have that new information. For example, I did a lot of work on a nutrition label, a nutrition brand. So definitely talking a lot about protein consumption, nutrition, things like that. So definitely looking on that and updating their old content. Definitely wanted to make sure that, you know, I'm talking about recent information. So recent studies about, say, how much protein a person should consume a day, or the effects of protein on the body, or what research has been done on vegan protein. So when adding that information, definitely want to make sure that we have those newer links in. But then also, you know, as we cut out some content, you know, sometimes we need to cut out links also that aren't as relevant or important, especially when you find something that's, you know, newer versus this old link.
Yeah, that's awesome. And again, it's really good to kind of keep in mind when you're going through, you know, your content on your website and things like that. I have gone through some of our blogs with a course provider, and they've been really excited because I think like soon there will be new changes to the qualifications that are needed to be able to work in aged care here in Australia. And you know, as there's updates and things like that that have come out from the government, those are great links to be able to go through and add and, you know, show like, well, you know, there's been a new announcement. Going back to some of those original blog posts that, you know, we've written as like, you know, a guide for students wanting to get into aged care, you know, what are the things that you can consider? That was something that we went through and updated our external links. And it's funny, like when we were looking at in Search Console, the performance of that, it was really kind of almost immediate that like Google crawled that page, like saw that, like was able to see that link, that it's like a newer, fresher piece. And it really kind of, I don't know whether that was like a direct correlation or causation, but we did see better performance from that blog post because of those new links that basically just updated people with more relevant information. Again, this is a pretty massive authority here in Australia, so they really do have the dominance in the market. So, you know, that's also a bit of a caveat as well. But it was just very interesting to see that doing just this one strategy here of just updating your internal and your external links to make sure that nothing's broken, and to make sure that all the content is relevant and updated, really does have some really great value for your site.
Absolutely. It's exciting when you see a post go from, say, buried in page 4 to position 2, position 1. That's the golden one right there. Yes. that is the goal. But when you see it gradually increasing week over week, or just do that giant jump, that's a good feeling. That's a good day. Anything else that happens that day does not matter. It's like, hey.
SEO is the long game, and we take our wins where we can.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay. Number 4. Add alt text. And yeah, we only have 6, but add alt text images. So today, adding alt text is a standard SEO practice. In 1990, the American Disabilities Act outlined requirements for websites to make sure that they met the requirements for individuals with disabilities. So it states that HTML code for web pages should include the following: alt text, long descriptions, captions, and text links. So collectively, these features enable websites accessibility to users with disabilities. But over the years, numerous high-profile celebrities and companies have landed in hot water for not following suit. So I've got 2 examples, 2 quick ones. Maybe a little controversial here, I don't know. Beyonce.com versus Mary Connor. So 2019, Beyonce's Parkwood Entertainment was sued by Mary Connor. The visually impaired woman claimed that she couldn't access Beyonce.com due to the lack of drop-down menus and alt text images.
Right.
And then the next crazy one, Beehive, hopefully, Beehive supporters. So no fans of Beyonce. So hopefully, things worked out for the best for her with that one. The next is Nike.com versus Maria Mendez. 2017, Maria sued Nike.com because a screen reader couldn't identify images on the website because they didn't contain alt text. So from the examples, you can see that even major companies are susceptible to this. By rechecking, old images and new images and making sure that they have that alt text can help prevent instances and penalties. Besides that, the other thing is it can help with ranking in other areas of search, like image carousels. So if you're not ranking in the top 10, you can still try to capture other areas of search by adding alt text.
Yeah, that's fascinating stuff. And it makes sense, like if you're blind and you're using, you still need to be able to access the web. I think I remember seeing an old Reddit thread of the blind and differently abled basically adding comments and ranking sites from best to worst or worst to best. That really just saying I can't access this, this is basically I can't do much on this at all. So it really is something that is quite always good to make sure that the web is accessible for everyone.
Absolutely. It's funny we're talking about this because just last Friday, actually, I was working on a project and have you ever used a screen reader before?
Yeah,
messed around with one?
Yeah, I've just got my iPhone, and that's got basically a screen reader, and it just basically reads off everything, which is kind of awesome. I'll be cooking dinner and I'll just be like, I don't have time to sit down and read this article and have all of my attention on it. I love passive learning. So I'll listen to podcasts, I'll listen to other things, and having screen readers on the mobile phone is awesome.
No, you're right. You're 100% right. I started messing with one last Friday just for fun on a project, looking at a client's page, just to kind of get the experience of exactly what this is. What does a visually impaired person who uses a screener, what's the experience that they go through? And looking at the client's page, and it was really interesting. And you start noticing the nuances that visually, where you and I, where we don't have, we're not visually impaired, we can see different elements and different cutoff points and positions of of sections of the page. However, going through a screen reader, it's different. And you notice like, wow, okay, so it really looks into the HTML code and how the page is set up also. So because everything's in containers. So if one section is in 3 separate containers versus one container, that means the screen reader has to go from, or the person has to click from 1, 2 to 3 versus just go into the container and then it reads everything. So it's an interesting dynamic. And I recommend to anyone just being curious, just try it out and see what happens.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And if you try it out, Jarrod, you're on Twitter, right?
I am on Twitter. Yes.
Yeah. Tweet at Jarrod if you try it out.
Yeah. At @JMillsy, at @J_MILLSY is me on Twitter.
Awesome. I'll make sure to include it in the show notes.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. We're going to update meta elements. So updating meta tags like meta descriptions and schema markup can help improve click-through rates. While it's not a ranking factor, it can help entice people to click on your link. Think of them as like digital billboards that are advertising in the SERPs. So for example, Nick, who's one of your favorite artists, your favorite musicians that you listen to?
Oh, golly gee. I love the musical collective Uncle, UNKLE.
I know Uncle. Great. Good choice. Good taste in music. So Uncle's going on tour. Absolutely. Uncle's going on tour. So we're just looking up Uncle on the SERP. If there's schema markup added, then you can see the tour dates of, for example, Uncle's on tour. You can see the tour dates of when Uncle's coming to a town near you, or Uncle's coming to Australia, or, Uncle's coming to San Diego. So that's going to entice you more. Like, let me go click in, let me go find out more information. So it's those little things, those little nuances like that can help entice clicks. Oh
man, I don't think they've come out to Australia since 2011. So I would love to be able to see that.
It's interesting. I haven't been to a concert in a while, so I'm like trying to remember my last concert. I actually had a conversation with someone like, my last concert. I cannot remember just from everything that's been going on.
I know, it's a little bit grim like that, eh?
But now, we can stream stuff live. I think Coachella was like streaming. They streamed the whole thing last year. Probably gonna do it this year too. So you have a party in your living room.
Ooh, that would be nice. That would be very, very nice.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually Googling it as well.
Do it. No, do it. I do it all the time. I watch a lot of DJ sets. I just stream them all the time. That's what keeps me sane. That's my work playlist. Questlove or someone else just spinning a DJ Jazzy Jeff. Whatever it may be.
Man.
3 hours of music. I can do spreadsheet land. It's not that bad.
Oh man, especially going through optimizing titles and meta descriptions. Like, music is life.
You have to have that upbeat, that up tempo, especially when you're updating meta descriptions, because after a while, brain starts to slow down a little bit.
Oh yeah.
All right,
we're on to
the last one, number 6. So since you updated the content, you want to promote this content. So promotional tactics like link building and social media campaigns can help increase visibility and get content in front of different demographics of viewers. So a lot of SEOs, especially earlier in their careers, very familiar with link building, which is emailing industry-related websites and asking them to share your content. This can introduce it to new audiences and generate backlinks. Fun times. And then there's social media. Now, while this isn't necessarily, it's not, I don't want to say controversial, it's not the major ranking factor necessarily, but it's an avenue that helps. So like social media campaigns enable you to get content in front of different demographics and quickly as well, very quickly. So gaining follows, likes, shares can help promote content and drive traffic to a website. If you're on Instagram, how many times does someone say, hey, check the link in the bio? You click the link, boom, you go right to the website. I'm scrolling through, I see a new pair of Nike sneakers, click on the link, hey, I'm in the Instagram version of the Nike store looking at a new pair of Air Max. So it's a good opportunity that shouldn't be overlooked. But next time you're looking for refreshing content, consider digging your old archives for some good content. It still matters.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny, like SEO really does dip its toe into so many different facets of digital marketing. And from a UX perspective, we want people to be able to do something when they get there, like whether it is pick up the phone, fill out a form, buy it now, watch it, or in this case, be able to share it or be able to send to friends. And I think like if you've got a fully holistic marketing plan, it just really helps to get awareness out there. And like you were saying before, like social media is not, it doesn't have any influence in SEO, but it might come through from referral traffic, or it will come from when you source medium in Google Analytics, you'll be able to see it come from social media. But it just really helps to get more of the awareness out there that you're updating content that might be relevant to people, and then you might get an increase later down the track with either like direct traffic or organic traffic. So it's just really good to have a good holistic plan with your content. That's pretty much what we are trying to encourage people to think about here. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, like Vice. I follow Vice a lot. If you're familiar with Vice, music, all around kind of entertainment and music, news, everything. Vice is everything. But just scrolling online, you see like a brief article, and then how many times you like jump and actually read the article, whether it's New York Times, LA Times, I'm sure publications out in Australia as well. Even Moz. I mean, I watch Whiteboard Friday religiously every Friday, and if I don't catch it in the morning, I'll be taking my break and scrolling on the phone and like, oh, there's a new episode, I forgot, and then boom, click it, and I'm already watching it. So everything has, like you said, Nick, everything has a purpose. There's an intent for everything. That we're trying to do. Kind of steer people in the right direction.
And it's funny, you've listed link building or link outreach here as well, and that's such an interesting point to be able to add. A lot of people will write really fantastic wrap-up articles or do studies or do like surveys and things like that, with the idea that one, they understand the core pain points of their target audience and are hoping to leverage that to be able to have those things published in, say, like medium.com or Search Engine Journal or blogs that exist on Moz or SEMrush or other sorts of things. Have you because you were saying like in your previous role that you did a lot of, you probably do it here too, sorry, at your agency now. But have you used those kinds of tactics where you're using content that your clients have generated for link outreach?
Yes. I mean, in content, that was one of the, not every post, but a lot of posts, we would do a lot of link outreach with that. So within how we did it was for each campaign, you're trying to get 100, emailing 100 different websites. But of course, you have certain parameters that you set. You're not just shooting it out, throwing a baseball out into space, so to speak. You're, what kind of domain ranking do you want these websites to have? You don't want to go below websites that are below 35, right? You want to keep them pretty nice. You want to keep quality links coming in. But the whole concept is the more links that you're sending out, then you're going to get a handful back. It's always kind of equated to, it's like throwing a party. You invite 100 people, you get 50 confirmations, and maybe 30 people show up. So it's just trying to cast that net, and then you kind of work your way down. But the ones that you do have are going to, hopefully, you really want them to be the quality links that you're doing. Link building it's an interesting practice. It's an interesting concept. And like you said, you can have the greatest content, but a lot of it's in your pitch. A lot of it comes from how you approach that particular writer or editor, and getting it in there.
Yeah, 100%. And this is where I have to give a massive shout out to Brian Dean, who really did kind of like give this practice a name. It's like the skyscraper technique, where you either find popular content that has been linked to from other sites, like BuzzSumo is a really great opportunity to find that, and do exactly what you just said, like create a better piece of content on that same topic, and either publish it on your site, or be able to email them and just say like, hey, this bit of content that you've got is really, really great, but it's now old, it's now outdated, and there's been a lot of changes in this. Would you consider linking to our piece, or we can basically publish this on your site as a way to sort of give the 2021 perspective on this particular topic, and then go through and promote that content to the right people, and then let them know that it basically exists. It's like the skyscraper technique of really going after and doing this sorts of stuff. It's just really, really fascinating that like when you kind of pull back, we talk about like link opportunities, and being able to do something with the content after it's been published. And it really is just trying to find like that relevant audience, put it in front of them, and then get that readership growth.
Absolutely. It really is. It really is. And, and it's funny because when you're doing that outreach campaign, granted, you're going for, one industry, probably, but then you're touching so many different demographics though.
Yeah.
You're touching so many different, people that, if you had just, posted on your site, you wouldn't get, but because you're doing an outreach campaign, you're bringing in, soccer and rugby moms, you're bringing in, gym bros, you're bringing in a lot of business people, you're bringing a lot of different demographics of people into your site that probably normally wouldn't go to it, but because you have that topic, and because you reached out to that place, you're driving traffic to your site.
Yeah. Awesome. And sources.
Yeah,
I love that. Google EAT.
Yes. Content background, so I had to source everything. So I do have a list of sources. So I didn't just, it wasn't all opinion. It wasn't all this great ideas. There's a lot of great ideas from here, but I had help from these great sources. So.
I love it. You're practicing what you're preaching, Like if you're talking about Google EAT, if you're saying a statement by Joe, here's like where that came from. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Well done, mate.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really, really, truly appreciate it. Thank you. If there's any questions, I'm definitely here to answer those to the best of my ability as well. And Nick, feel free to jump in as well too.
Yeah, I am just reading the chat at the moment because I couldn't be able to see it, but it seems that we've been a little bit light on the questions this month, but I have my own questions. So this is a question that at the SEO Meetup, live and in person, we got, if you've got a blog and you've just got them basically all just coming off like, example.com / blog topic. Would you sort of look at doing a tiered structure where you might have instead blog / category of blog topic and then them? or should I just kind of keep it as the same structure?
I think it kind of depends on ultimately the goal, but I mean, you can definitely do that. You can definitely do a tiered structure. I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, you have your subcategories, so you can kind of drive traffic towards those pages as well. But then also in your tiered structure, I mean, you have your primary page, so all those other pages underneath, are shooting up equity to that money page. They're sending juice to that money page.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Chris.
I told him, I said thank you.
Yeah, it's funny. I also had a question from one of my clients as well, and to be honest, like I like the subfolder kind of arrangement, because one, I think from breadcrumbs we can be able to help users to be able to toggle in between, say like the category of topics, so they can go back and be like, okay, well these are all the topics, or find like related topics and things like that. I just look at it more from like an internal links perspective, like where can we get better opportunities for users to be able to find relevant information based on what they're wanting to look for. Because working back, if you're looking to buy something, if you're looking to invest in something, you'll probably kind of want to do a lot of research before you actually buy or invest or do any of that. So if you're making it easy for users to be able to toggle around your site, you're going to keep having making the pages stickier, to be able to find more opportunities to learn more. So go through and find like a carousel of related articles, or have like really great embedded internal links in your articles to be able to click through to. I think like having those kinds of opportunities are really, really great. Oh, thanks so much, Gregor.
Absolutely.
It's great. We're getting a lot of really good feedback.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, please ask any questions if you've got, especially if you're doing this right now. I think, content is, one of the main pillars of SEO, and is relevant to anyone who owns a website and is really hoping to grow out their audience, or to be able to get more eyes onto pages, or making sure that they stay on those pages. So if you have questions, please ask. While we're sort of just waiting for that, what would you say would be like one of the most satisfying, successful content campaigns that you're running at the moment, Jarrod?
Oh, that I'm running at the moment. So at the moment, I'm not doing as it's funny. I'm not doing as much content right now. Since I'm kind of on the technical side, and I'm looking more at the mechanics of it. So I'm creating the HTML structure, and telling them, hey, you should add a link here. Don't just link to shopping pages, link to actual internal pages in your blog. But then there's some elements you can't take the content out of me. So there's like a list of bullets. I'm like, hey, make those actionable. Don't just say the dog. Like, I walk the dog. Make we're walking the dog. Be sure to walk the dog. Make it actionable. And so in the project I work on, it's a bit more siloed, so to speak. So I don't have as much room to really push those kinds of boundaries, but I try to slide stuff in when I can. But before, I mean, what fascinated me the most was just seeing the whole process of discussing a content piece, right? And then or we found a piece we need to update, and then just going through the whole process of the research of creating your outline, and then adding in creating the post, adding the images, and then the links, and then the campaign. Just that whole process in itself just it really fascinated me. All that to say is, while I've been in different areas of SEO, that's when I was really, really, I guess, became captivated by all of it. Just seeing that whole process, it really got me.
Yeah. And I love that you're like, you're honing in to, both of those things in a really, really deep dive kind of way. I think like, there's some really, really great opportunities, like some on-page signals that we can be able to add to posts, really to give users a lot more information. So from a technical perspective, when we're looking at content, having the date of the article published, the date of the article modified, how much time it takes to read that article, from a schema perspective. Again, all of these things are really, really help readers, or I guess like prospective customers, or prospective clients, or whoever you really want to lure in, to be able to see those kinds of signals from their surf and be like, oh, okay, like how to or like best pull up bar exercises. And I can see like, oh man, it only takes like 2 minutes to read this. Like, I kind of really want to up my pull up bar game. So I got 2 minutes. I'll click through to that, Whereas maybe there might be another article that might not have, might be just as good, but there's no indication from the SERP to maybe click through to that. So that might not get clicked. So there can be some really, really great opportunities from a technical perspective of how to up the game for content.
Absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned that. It's slowly been growing in our lives over the years, and you don't even notice it. But when you said, like when you read a news article and it talks about the time, like this is a 4-minute read. Like I remember noticing that about a year ago. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But now, like I look for that now. I really look, like, oh, 10. No, I don't have 10 minutes. I'm not reading all that. Oh, 3 minutes. Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
So it's those little things that grow into us, and they become such a big thing that we do look for. So I agree with you. Adding those elements it's huge. It makes all the difference, in the short run. But again, as SEO, we play the long run, so really look to the long run to really do those things.
Absolutely. And as another tech SEO, I love to always look at how to leverage those kinds of opportunities to really help it. I mean, I think it's kind of hard sometimes in my mind separating where content starts and finishes and where technical SEO starts and finishes. I kind of see it all as like under the one banner, if you will. But actually adding that schema, particularly if you are like point 2, I think that you made. Sorry if I'm getting the order wrong, but going through and wanting to benchmark and having a good idea of like what your competitors are doing when you're still looking at the search intent for a keyword. If there's again, using pull-up bars as an example, we saw video elements on that page. We saw a wrap-up of like some really good best of kind of articles, and that immediately tells me 2 things. One, it's very saturated.
Very saturated.
Yeah, absolutely. And people are wanting to, have like diversified kind of opportunities of how to learn about this stuff. So there might be like an actual video of like, a fitness expert, like showing them how to like, properly do the exercises. That's a really, really great opportunity, again, from a content side, of saying to your client, like, if you really want to rank #1 for pull-up bar exercises, then these are all the types of ways that that already exist. So that's our benchmark. That's the baseline of what we need to meet. Let's have a look at the top articles that Google has assessed from an organic standpoint of what ranks for that keyword. How does your blog compare? If it's just kind of like just a wall of text, or the images themselves aren't really that dynamic, or it doesn't really go through to explain that, then you kind of got to up your game. If you really want to go after that ranking, if you really want to be able to do that, that's like the best place to really start with the logic. I'm hitting am I sort of like, hitting the mark here, Jarrod?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. No, I definitely agree. It's, it's taking that time to really look at those different nuances. Again, what are your competitors doing? Okay, how can we do that? How can we do it better? And as you said, with images, I've seen websites where like the entire post was all GIFs. This all, I was just like, what? No. But then, another website, it's actual instructions. As I was using the example of the how to move a couch, the specific step-by-step instructions written, but then visually you have the two people lifting up the couch, the arrow showing which direction to move into.
Yeah, absolutely. So I might finish up on this last question that Michelle Harrington has asked, and I'll just put it into the chat here. When updating, refreshing content, are you using any content optimization software that analyzes the top 10 competitors for page structure, word count, etc., or do you do everything manually? It's a great question.
There are some tools that you can really use. Wow, it's escaping me right now. I use it quite frequently. But when you write a post, you upload it into the content platform, and it tells you basically this is where the top competitors. This is what they used for keywords, and this is where you are. So did you meet the market? ClearScope, actually, excuse me, that's what it is.
ClearScope, cool.
ClearScope's a great tool because you upload your content to it, and then it shows you these are the keywords that you have in there, and then these are the keywords your competitors have. And this is how many times that the top ranking websites have used this keyword. So you can kind of dress up your post a little bit more to make it a little bit stronger, and it gives you a letter grade. So A+ being like, hey, you're on point. B+, you're doing okay, you're doing good. C and so forth. So I think it's a really great tool to do that with.
Is that I'm not familiar with ClearScope, but is that a free tool or a paid tool?
It is a paid tool. It is a paid tool. There's a paid service for that. But there's some other tools. I've used another one before escapes me. But ClearScope is probably my most favorite one that I have used. To the point where you have to like, okay, wait, I still have to think too. I can't let this whole thing, this computer, dictate how I'm writing this post. You want some human element in it too. But I think that's a really great tool, and hopefully I think that answers Michelle's question. But all around, that's one that I found that's been very successful with.
That's awesome. So I don't know ClearScope. I've never used it. Pop. She's also asked Pop ? But I've used SEMrush content template, and you can literally just put in any keyword in there and it'll show up the top 10 results and show what semantic keywords that would be good to be able to use in your article. It also shows, I think from memory, backlink opportunities, so actual links of websites to be able to go out and outreach. To be honest, I don't really rate that section of it too well, because sometimes like it will pull in like Amazon. I'm like, I'm not okay, cool. In a perfect world, and it will also show word counts and things like that, like on average across like the top 10 results, and it'll actually like show all of the content on all of those top 10 results organically, and actually highlight the main keywords, so you can kind of get a good idea of how many times like that primary keyword had been used. And again, one of the, Google Hummingbird, do not shove keywords in every section of your website, because you'll meet some kind of penalty. So don't do that. Yeah. This is the one that I'm talking about. Thanks, Gregor. SEMrush content template is really, really cool and can be run directly through WordPress. And I think there's also Google Docs also has an add-on for SEMrush as well, which you can literally just, as you're writing in the content, it will basically have like a score in there as well, and it will also tell you about like tone of voice and all kinds of other stuff. And I think that is free from memory if you're a subscriber to SEMrush. But once you're a subscriber, then that tool is like all free and like with all their other stuff. They also have like one project that is free. I don't know. It changes all the time with SEMrush. I don't really know. So Michelle Harrington has worked back to Pop Page Optimizer Pro. I've heard about this one. I haven't used it. Have you, Jarrod?
No, I have not. It's interesting.
Awesome. Well, I will leave that in there because there's some really, really fantastic tools out there.
Try that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I also really, really like if you aren't a subscriber to like SEMrush or to we get the thumbs up from Michelle. Sorry if I'm also saying your name wrong. Yeah, I'm saying it, Michelle. I hope that's right. But yeah, it gets a thumbs up from her. But if you're not a paid subscriber, how to do it manually, you just type in the keyword, actually check. I think all SEOs and all site owners could actually do a lot of good by just checking what the keyword is and being able to have a look at what that looks like. So that's really, really good to be able to keep on top of that. And again, SEO Minion, it's a free Chrome extension. You can like click on that link and then go and have a look at all of the on-page SEO. So all the heading, the title, meta description, canonical tags, like meta robots, see all of the heading structures, see Open Graph for all of your social media linkage and what have you. If there's any Twitter and things like that, that's been added there as well that you can, kind of have a good scope of from a code sense. So yeah, SEO Minion's great. You can also like highlight all the links or just basically download them as well. So if you're wanting to use that as a way to kind of like scrape links from a page, that's really, really handy as well. Yeah, that and so many other wonderful things. So yeah.
To a lesser degree, you could use like Ahrefs as well.
Totally.
The content gap analysis is a really good tool to also use. Now you don't want to pull, your top competitors for that keyword and then, compare, and use that to compare what keywords they're ranking for that you're not using. So that's also a great one. Plus, again, you can look at their backlink profiles and see what they're using that you're potentially not. I mean, that's that needle in a haystack, but that's link building 101 right there.
Absolutely. That's such a good point. I love using Ahrefs with their backlink, to look at backlink opportunities specifically. It's such, they have some really, really great accuracy, I think, with their links, more than any other tools that I've tested. So yeah, definitely Ahrefs is a really, really great one to use as well.
Absolutely.
All right, well, guys, it is 7:30 here in Melbourne, and I think that's a really, really great place to bookmark this. Jarrod, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute honor to have you here on SEO Meetup Melbourne, the YouTube channel.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Melbourne. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So where can people find you after this? Like if someone has some really, really, they want to work with you or they want to ask you some more questions, where can people find you?
Certainly. Well, on Twitter, you can find me at J_MILLSY. It's J Millsy.
J_MIMI.
S-Y.
Yep. S-Y, J Millsy.
Yes,
Awesome.
yeah. Last name is Miller. Miller. So it's nickname. And then, you know, on LinkedIn, definitely Jarrod Miller Dean. Jarrod, Jarrod, Miller hyphen capital DEAN. That's a great way to get in touch with me as well.
Awesome. And I am going to put that there, right there. So find Jarrod here and
Thank
be
you.
able to reach out to him because he's been, it's been really, really awesome just going through all these really, really important points, you know, that you can be able to do with your content, up your content game, and also look at, you know, how to amplify that once, you know, once you've hit that publish button. So it's a really, really great opportunity. As like a final wrap up, my name is Nick Ranger. I am here in Melbourne, and if you want to find me, best places either for myself, also on Twitter and LinkedIn. Twitter at Nick Ranger SEO, or on LinkedIn it's just Nick Ranger, just to make it easier, NIK. And if you really, really liked this video, please like that. Press the little like button, you know, hit the notification bell for all the new videos that we release every month. And of course, we'd love to be able to get you on board to be a subscriber of this channel as well. So thank you so much, Jarrod. It's been awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nick. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
I'll see you guys in the next one.